dañoo ñëw ak yéen rek skincare plus nara jàkkaarloo ak yéen waxtaan ak yéen tuuti rek si suñu tube suñu baax emuñ rek ci ay diw waaye comme ni ngeen ko xamee rek dañoo yëngu ci ay tube te yënguwuñ nag si just any tube suñ tube bu nekk 5-star jesna la 5-star jesna mooy jesna bi gën a pire moom la ñoo tube palmaan bi gën a fort moom la ñoo liggéeyee ñun rek si tube dara du doy day des not only dañoo tube but bu la neexee ñu cuubal la ba pare nag ñawal la we not all about skin we are skin care and the plus does come in so many different ways.
No, ini bara.
Alright, okay. Dimbara.
Welcome. Basically, lot of lala me along is cool, man, that I can really relax.
What the madam?
Yeah, that's
What the madam?
Yeah.
Let them do somebody.
That's fine.
Grand Villa.
Grand Villa.
That's fine.
Slowly. Yes. No.
Yeah, actually, a lot of people are basically me alone because they relax. So it's always like that. I can have spend. It's very relaxing.
Ni la fa ni sewal. Nidia Nena Grand Villa is the best guest house in the Gambia.
Beji andikam Grand Villa Guest House. Na labungul bebe senyaring adum na bungul bebe nyarandiring coming ibe la fila ila suwe tara nyame. Ntel Grand Villa na kiliano la lafino wale mukanwatin telkam. Na ye sabati Grand Villa yela kodo na fa kalamuta.
Oh man, this is like a paradise.
I know.
I so much love this place.
Thank you.
Trust me, I love this place.
You can move someone and you're watching what?
Yeah.
Katun jang and you want to Gambia kon.
tell you.
Grand Villa.
I tell
Yes,
you.
maga ba mo sama.
I love this place. Okay.
Yes, mo ka mo.
I love this place, man. Oh yeah.
Ni leftan na kuo keso sotola. Futama Oljuntum Paradise Estate. Mbaya kumandiroke 7527218. Wale futana website auto www.grandvillaguesthouse.com. Grand Villa Guest House.
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.
yara ñilla domoro ka diatel
boy jannon Sikes restaurant
e say nakko be ni na dimbal nimbe domoro kala janno
domoro seneyata adiyata topotoro fanan kendema bije luntan during tamala abeka domoro ki janni adi manda wala de te ka we bijele anim fanan ka fadi jang ikono e fa e ka fa minne ko pastry anim bakery iko fanan be kalele badde lomba conference lomba workshop lomba ye fo fendin lon dunia kono domoro betama nyillom international otoda number 1
amanke ba domo la jandama
e sa domo jang is atariya
wo mu kubandi
sa nakko sa futandin
e oto sa nakko be mu Sikes restaurant
ndafa na janna mu yat ni manje dorom bija
aban
Sikes restaurant, known for best quality food and customer satisfaction.
na broda min ba Europe Mr. Conte nka bolo kol kan sai na so kono mano banta jabo banta tulo ban sai ka bolo kol kan anda ka ba office kono ba dama bulo mutarin ba ka ta fintila no ko mbatu ngane ta ya kuriyen ma ko dubanti na ta mano sani tulo ni yo
mun da beten la broda man balwo service kala
mun service
balwo service
ni da foronte mo kala
mun da a fela broda ko abitala internet ol aya ba site la woldo balwo.com na wo sajje a apo ñu ba download la telephone ol na be sandiro to ni wal na be sidin ala office ko ndama manjar pour ay ta bank ko kodoki abe sidin office ko no daminto e do message so yo telephone ko no e bitiko be Gambia dawda bitiko ba bele ko ta tano dawda yeta tempo tawo
wodama
yala bari wa service na ta molda han ata ñole be kan fi janna bro dan ta ko ata ñole ayo ko ti
balwo service dinkirala jampo o manken na kolaya ko balwo service al demano kaje ko ale do mor feŋol sang alla dimbaya molu ana lakkanun tewol wato bela ani wat sudum fanan kono balwo service la dinkiralu ani la do kunyolu e be banko karo beto kabirin katon fo koyna nalla fa ko ku ko tan suro balwo service la kolto ali commandi telephone la no la milbuko 9400213 7694319 wala 3192870 wala hankabi alta internet oto alila kolu jibe www.baluwo.com.
Do you live abroad and want to build your dream home in the Gambia without risking your funds and family ties? Do you want a household name that is trustworthy and efficient? A name that will continue to give you updates on the project from the beginning to the very end with videos and pictures? If your answer is yes, then worry no more. Boss Construction and Asset Management is here for you. If you live outside the Gambia and want to build your dream home, then this is ideal for you. Just reach out to Boss Construction and let's start building the dream home into a reality. With Boss Construction, the difference is clear. We give you value for money. Some of our services includes the following: construction management, building equipment rentals, rent management, purchase and leasing, asset management, and many more. For more information, please contact 282-4945. Better still, send us an email, bossgambia@gmail.com, or you can also visit our website on www.bossgambia.com. Boss Construction, a name you can trust. Boss Construction and Asset Management, keeping families together.
Hello and welcome to the brunch. Today sitting in for Mr. Lamin Cham is Mustafa Kedabo. And with me in the studio to discuss a number of issues, including the tragic boat accident that happened off the coast of Mauritania, is Mr. Sana Jawara. He's a National Assembly member. And Mr. Lamin J. Dabo is a constitutional law lawyer. And Mr. Demba Kande, researcher and a journalism teacher at the Media Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen, all of you, welcome to the brunch.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Let's begin first with Mr. Kande. You had worked on a research jointly, of course, with others, Afrobarometer, and today, which actually looked at migration-related issues. And today, one of the most important issues Gambia is currently discussing, or Gambians are discussing, I should say, it's migration, which actually lead to death of dozens of Gambians and still dozens more missing. How did we get here?
Thank you very much, Mustafa. I think this is a very important question, in as much as it sounds a surprise to a lot of Gambians. Back in 2018, we issued a press release and a dispatch, a media dispatch, talking about the potential for migration and what do Gambians feel about migrating within and outside the country and outside the region. From that data that was collected in July of 2018, which analyzed later in the year, in September, October, we found that up to 56% of Gambians were considering to migrate. That's a significant number. That's about 6 people in every 10, wanting to move out of the country or move around within the country. And out of those, up to 7% of our population, right, 1 in every 10, had made concrete steps to move out. We issued this data, we shared it with a lot of stakeholders, including the government of the Gambia. In fact, the government, particularly before it was shared with the public, it was shared with the international community, donor partners and everybody, academia, and the media. All of this data was shared. And, we tried to popularize it as much as possible, sort of to let the people know what the Gambians are thinking of various issues, including migration. And so this was sort of a warning light that there are potential for the pathway still alive in the Gambian.
If you had looked at the migration trajectory, I mean, even you look at the figures from Frontex, European Statistical Department, the IOM, it sort of tells you that after the regime change, there was renewed confidence in the system in the country, and the migration flow was going down actually.
Absolutely.
But then in 2018, it started picking up. I mean, what do you think motivates this? Where does the
that's an important point, actually.
Comes from?
Migration generally in the sub-Saharan Africa region, you can see, especially West Africa, it peaked in 2017. Right? This was, I mean, in the context of the Gambia, this was somewhere around when they had a new, system, dealing away with the Jammeh era and so on. But at the same time, as soon as this, we hit the peak, there was a slippery slope, like in terms of the trend for migration. However, it picked up in later part of 2017 and at the beginning of 2018. Now, in the Gambia, we can explain why. You can sort of generalize this to other African countries, but we focus on the Gambia. And what we found was, an overwhelming number of people want to migrate because they want to find jobs, and they want to find some kind of work. You understand?
That's according to the Afrobarometer.
Exactly, up to 5 in every 10 people, right? They want to migrate because they don't have a job. And we find this significantly higher in proportion among young people between the ages of 18 and 35, and that's exactly again what we are saying, in terms of this disaster. The young people are affected most. You go beyond finding a work, it's escaping poverty, and destitution. People who decide to stay, they stay because they don't have any other options, But at the same time, those who stay, those who want to go, they leave because they want to find greener pastures, whatever the interpretation of that may be. You wake up in the morning, all you do is to sit down in the ghetto or sit down in a room because you don't have a job and stay the whole evening or the afternoon talking about. So you're depressed, And in the case of the Gambia, when Jammeh left, there was so much euphoria. Both Gambians, both at home and abroad, they were hoping for change. You understand? A lot of expectations were on the new administration. So that's why you can say that in 2017, when the honeymoon was still on, people expected things would get better. Oh no, let's give them a little bit of time. 2017, early 2017, mid 2017, and later 2017, people realized that it's not much, nothing much is going to happen. And then 2018 came in, reality hit. We saw the new budget of the new government. We saw how things happened in 2017 and in 2018. and then so people started to lose hope again. Hope disappeared. And this is how the trend continued until the later part of 2018. We started seeing people, the backward syndrome re-emerging in the Gambia.
Of course, the difference in the 2017 budget was that the new government found it and they revised it, which sort of complied with fiscal the targets that the government had, even the IMF had put in place. And Honorable Sana was one of those who had actually participated in revising that budget. Then came the 2018, which was 25 billion, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, 25 billion. And then that was quite a bit...
No, actually it was 19.
19 billion? Yeah. So basically, your summary suggests the push factors is one of their spare.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Dabo, I know you were a lawyer, but you also a member of the society. You come from Gunjur, and this is a fishing town. I'm not sure I can call it a village.
No, a town.
Okay. What is the situation like in that community? I mean, in terms of faith in this country, the possibilities of one making not just ends meet, but living a dignified life in this country?
Well, for young people, the challenge is clear. You see what some people have achieved in their lives, but mainly those who traveled out of the country. We have some big businessmen from Gunjur. We have some successful entrepreneurs from Gunjur, and so there are still young people who are also engaged in the professions like carpentry, welding, and other things. But there are those other people who are not engaged in any of those, and they too have their ambitions. They want to be able to provide for themselves, their families. So yes, migration, if they have the opportunity, certainly. A lot of young people, even their parents, would come to you and say, can you assist us? Even if you are as hopeless as they are, as far as fulfilling their dreams, their migration dreams. But yes, people really ignore the dangers, even after this major incident. If anything, some people are still planning to go, because the idea, the philosophy would be, well, if it is your time, it is your time. If it is not, if it is not your time, you still have an opportunity to reach Europe. The target is always Europe because of our proximity and our geographical proximity to that part of the world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Honorable, let's talk the budget. I mean, if you, the people who decide who gets what in this country, in terms of resource allocation, and if you had looked at all the sectors, I'm sure we will come to some of the changes and the problems within the economy. But first, what, in the first allocation that the new government had, and the second allocation, because this is the third of the president, but the fourth budget, I think he has tabled before the National Assembly. The second budget, he personally had tabled before his government tabled before the National Assembly. What does that tells us about the priorities of the government as far as youth are concerned?
Thank you very much, Mr. Fatou. But even before coming to the budget now, we have to go back a little bit, going back into history. I think it was certain that the youths were very much a critical partner in the change that happened in the Gambia. I think there were slogans where we're saying that this is the new Gambia, where the youths have played a very critical role in terms of in both political and other aspects of our change. So when the new government came in, that was embodied in the thinking of the government. So when the first revised the budget was, which was already been passed by the previous parliament, was before us, there was a need to review it and revise it, to reflect some of these issues that we think the change was all about. But Moving on, we went into 2018, and again, the youth element was not very much factored, but there was a basis of why that was not factored, because we were banking on the National Development Plan, which we have now embedded the youth element as one of the strategic priorities, of not leaving anybody behind, and the youths were going to be an integral part of the transformation, especially in certain sectors like fisheries and agriculture. The idea was not to only motivate and attract youths into the farms, but also to engage them in the value chain of the raw materials. So not all the youths can actually grow rice, but some will be able to involve in the processing, some in the distribution, the sales, and marketing of it. So is the case now in the fisheries. Not everybody, every youth can go to sea, but there can be youths on shore who will be participating in the handling of this fish, adding value to it, packaging it, and even be able to export them in some instances. But unfortunately, it's not working. Because year in, year out, we are seeing a budget that is becoming more and more of like going back to where we came from than where we headed. And that's why your question about this particular budget before it was reviewed again, so it's no indication of such. And it's just unfortunate and very tragic that at this point, while we are talking about youth, this disaster happened at sea. Which have in fact brought the whole issue to the forefront of our today's discussions. So in short, what I can say is what I have seen and presented before us, and we reviewed it to make sure the youth element is protected. In fact, has changed again in the appropriation bill. There is a cut instead of an increase. Although the minister has claimed, and fairly so, that there is a new element called the sports levy, which is going to come from the GSM companies, as I think it's a 0.02% of all calls that are terminated in the country. But which is going to go about another $120 million on top of what they are allocated. But this is so far not implemented. He's saying that in January we'll start the implementation, but I'm sure there's a legislation needed for this, of who's going to control these funds, how these funds are going to be appropriated between all the entities as far as youth employment and prospects are concerned. We have to remember there's a youth element, but also there's a sports element. So it's fair to say at this point that it's very discouraging that until today, some youths are finding the need to leave the Gambia for greener pastures.
You've talked about the number of allocations that the government had made to youth ministry. But isn't that allocation, in fact, a larger part of it, isn't it going to, maintenance of government in itself, like payment of salaries, travel per diems, and a lot of it, as much of our budget anyway?
Very, very fairly well. I can tell you this much now that we have allocated 114 million for the Ministry of Youth and Sports on the revised budget. The revised budget that was presented. And but when the ministry came back yesterday, with a new bill, that's the appropriation bill, which is like the bill, the budget as we have approved with recommendations. There's a cut of another $1 million, but the minister will come on Monday or Tuesday to defend why he made that cut. But like you said, about 65% of all this money is going through the policy area alone. I'll tell you, like the National Enterprise Development Initiative, NEDI, the National Youth Service Scheme, the National Youth Council, National Sports Council, the Independent Stadium and Friendship Hostels, have less than 30 million allocations in total. And those are the implementers of whatever your policies are or your programs are.
For the youth.
For the youth. So if NEDI is struggling to bring youths in off the streets, train them with small, medium enterprises or business plans or whatever it is, or bookkeeping with no resources whatsoever, how can they implement that? And even after doing those trainings and bringing those youths to a level of understanding how to conduct business well, that's where their role ends. Where would the youths then be able to tap funds to able to start a new business? If the government is the one competing with the youths themselves from the money market, that's the domestic market, to take whatever is available for financing. Which youth can you imagine from just a fresh from training can go to any commercial bank and ask for $500,000 or $1 million or even $10 million to start something that he believes and have a passion on, if the government needs that money more than him?
In fact, yes, because if you look at it, you're going to, even though people cut it a bit, but government will still need incredible amount of money. I think 2-point-something billion, 9 billion within the domestic economy.
No, about 3.9 billion. About
3.9 billion. So that means the domestic borrowing it's on the rise still. Right
so
up there. So government is competing with the common person on the street.
It's fair to say that all the commercial, the best business to do right now in the Gambia is commercial banking.
Yeah.
Because you have you are guaranteed.
You just do nothing.
Yeah, you just put your feet up, and then the government will
go sleep. Treasury bills float. Money comes.
Exactly. So yes, but if we're talking about youths, it's not only about the Ministry of Youth and Sports. It's about other sectors that affect youths in terms of employment. For example, the Ministry of Tourism, Youth and Culture, Arts and Culture. They are a big employer as far as employment is concerned. The Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of even the Ministry of Trade. That's on the trade. You have the GIPers and all these other satellite institutions who can engage youths and bring them into face-to-face with potential investors, either domestic or foreign. You have the Ministry of, for example, Information, Communication and Technology, Infrastructure, which we have coming from the universities, and higher education areas. A bunch of youths graduating every year. Where are they going to go? They cannot all come to become journalists like you. So they have to have a field or areas where they have to actually come in as trainees to be able to climb up the ladder. You have the Ministry of Fisheries. With these budget allocations, it's just basically, like you said, about policy implementation. But there's no ongoing support to make sure that these youths continue to not only understand what is needed, but also to be able to do it.
You talked about fisheries, and my
good
brother is from a coastal fishing town.
Yes,
how involved are young people in Gunjur in the fishing industry? I've been there before, and I've seen dozens of people from Senegal who are actually in our waters. I mean, often you will hear people say, "Oh, young people don't want to go to the sea." Is this really true?
Well, the indigenous citizens of Gunjur are not prominent participators in the fishing industry. So it is mainly controlled by people from Senegal. The local sailors do have their fishing boats, but they are not as prominent in that area as they used to be. So the Senegalese have a dominance of the area, that particular sector. So say for example at Ramadan or Tabaski, when the Senegalese travel back, fish is always a problem. It's not only in Gunjur, even in coastal communities like Tanje, when the Senegalese travel back to Senegal for those religious feasts, then fishing becomes, fish availability is a major issue.
Do we blame the young people? Or do we, because it's also very expensive to have boats and to have fishing gears. I mean, this runs into thousands, if not over 200 or 300,000. I mean, to build a boat that they go with into the sea. I mean, do we blame them?
I just want to add something.
Or do we help them with materials they need to do fishing? Do you think they would do it if they have such materials?
Well, I think if they really need those materials will be available. It's not a lot of money to start. If people are interested in something, even if it costs 30, 40,000, 50, 100,000, they will get that money. So I guess it's a question more of interest and the availability of resources. But nevertheless, Gunjur as a fishing community does have some funds available to it. It's just proper management and allowing the young people there to use some of those funds if they really need to. But you can't force anybody into a particular way of life. They must want to do that.
Well, on your seaside, you do have a company that you're still battling, but that most people are claiming is taking the fish from the settlement anyway. That's part of it. Is that still a bigger problem? Is that occupying a position that you would, so to speak, say, well, this is what you should be doing here, young people? So.
Well, that issue is a little different because, in fact, they are purchasing your fish. Say, for example, if you have fish and you want to sell to them, they can purchase it. So the issues are different. The ones that have been battled by other sectors of the community are a little different. Those are environmental issues. But say, for example, if I'm a youth in Gunjur and I'm into fishing, yes, if I have fish to sell to Golden Lake, they would buy it. Yeah. But there are other sides to the Golden Lake presence that, of course, raise different questions, and the matter is in court, so we wouldn't dwell on that. But as to producing fish and selling it to make a living, I don't think it affects that tremendously.
You said you wanted to add something.
Yes, because I am, before politics, I was in the fishing industry for over 10 years.
Oh.
And basically that's been my life since 2009. So I think the question you are posing, I just wanted to add something to it. To give you an example of myself. I came home 2009 from the UK to actually invest in the fisheries sector, because after a feasibility studies between 2007 and 2008, we found the need for ice. That there were only 3 ice plants working in the Gambia, and the need for ice was scarce, to the demand. So we came in and invested about $20 million, into an ice plant. But from there, we found that we need to change our model a little bit and go into fishing trucks and fish smoking and everything else. So I think that's what I want to add to the fact that if you have to intervene as a government in these areas, it's not about the size of money he's talking about. You need good money, because that's the only way you can make a meaningful intervention. The point I'm trying to make is just last year I made a post about my my concerns about YEP project, that the way they're approaching in supporting youths and the way they should approach in supporting youths should be different. So because of that post, I made the country coordinator invited me to his office. I think it's Joseph or something. And I told him that I think you should change your model, because giving people pocket money to start any business,
40,000, 50,000,
yeah,
$1,000.
It's not going to make these kids stay home. They want to come home and drive big cars and build houses. So you have to make a meaningful intervention. So I came with a model of, let's say, I said, okay, I need just $6 million, okay, from your end, and we will put another $6 million, making it 12. But we'll start with 10 boats, and each of these boats will employ 20 kids, Gambians. But we'll have a Senegalese captain who will go to sea with them. But we will not. We will partner with Empretech for Empretech to develop a sort of like a business module for these kids, where they can be even saving every month. So the idea was every kid will be guaranteed $20,000 a month. That's your pocket money, and another $10,000 in the bank. After 2 years of training, going and coming to sea, you will be able to own your own boat as a Gambian. You know, the idea of actually relying on foreigners to cater for our fish needs will be eventually elevated over the span of 5-10 years. Okay, so these kids are going to see will be one element. The other element is kids on the ground who will be handling this fish, processing it on site, and then selling it on either to the domestic market or the regional market. It's a $7.6 billion market in the sub-region. So there is a lot of opportunities for the kids. And I'm talking about boys, I'm talking about girls, who can be, processing this fish, packaging it, and sell it on. Or even distributing it to the hotels and restaurants. Our tourism sector, whatever they consume, unfortunately, is coming from foreign. We have to have the local content, factored in this to make sure that we cater for them. So, it will cost $540,000, for each boat to build. Yeah, basically, everything included: the nets, the machines, the boat itself, and all the GPS systems to make sure it's safe and sound. But unfortunately, they won't buy into this. I took it to the Ministry of Finance; they will not buy in. I took it to the Ministry of Fisheries, nothing. So yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about it.
Yes, then you were going to say something.
I would say that the blame on young people, particularly, that they wouldn't do certain jobs in Gambia for one reason or the other, it's not a very genuine one.
No.
Especially, as a Gambian, I've lived abroad. I've done jobs overseas that I will not do in the Gambia. And I'm not ready to disclose those jobs I've done, at least for now, even on national TV. But I'm just saying that these are jobs that I've done abroad, and I'm not going to do those in Gambia for certain reasons, right? Because I know in Gambia, even if I don't have breakfast or lunch, somebody else will give it to me. But when I lived abroad, I have to hustle. I have to have all of that on my own. You understand? So I will not waste my time, or I will not go and do a job that is not decent to earn me a decent living. Right? And besides, when I did those jobs in Europe, I was able to earn a decent living. If I do the same jobs here, I will not earn something that would even satisfy it will not even be enough for me to pay fares from where I live and where I will go to get that job or to do that job. So all of those issues are very, very important. Right? So essentially my point is that government is a referee in terms of the employment trade. It's not just a provider of employment opportunities, but it's also a referee in terms of the level playing field for employers. So I cannot employ 100 people and pay them the price of 10 people. Yes, and we see all of that happening in this country. Why are there enough policies? And if there are policies, why is there enough implementation, right, in terms of protecting workers?
But of course also, you were talking about fisheries and young people. There's been foreign companies that are now opening, fishing companies in the Gambia. There is one along the Banjul Highway. There is some boats that have been built in Mandinari. There are a lot of people who are saying, people like Salah, for instance, of course, this is a socialist model, but in the National Assembly did argue that perhaps government could invest in this. Of course, you have a lot of capitalist-oriented economists who would tell you governments are not good at businesses. But Gamzel is a business anyways.
Yeah, it's a question of management. There are a lot of SOEs, state-owned enterprises, and so on and so forth. We've seen, you can look at the budget. How much are they bringing in? Insignificant. Instead, we are pumping more money into what they're doing. You understand? Is it sustainable? No. Because at the end of the day, it's not the kind of activities or service delivery that will pull this country out of poverty. It's not the kind of services that will attract young people to stay at home. Look, migration is a very complex issue. Migration is not, we're not supposed to kind of control or stop migration. We're supposed to manage migration. It's important, it's useful, it has positive and negative impact.
Absolutely.
So in terms of controlling or in terms of managing it is to maximize the positive impact of migration and reduce the negative cost or the negative implications. So essentially, this is a country that does not, until recently didn't have a migration policy. We are affected by migration. 38% of people say they have a family of member who lives abroad in this country. Right? We have 47% of people who benefit directly from remittances. And you don't have an adequate migration policy. Are we really serious about this? We are not. That's the reality.
So if you look at, because I heard Sana mention the issue of tourism and how also it could be used to sort of reduce the despair that there may exist among the youth. But if you look at our tourism too, a lot of young people are complaining that this all-inclusive package that they've brought in, it's actually taking everything from them and they're being left alone. A lot of young people are complaining.
A lot of young people will complain about that, but also beyond that, in terms of tourism, if you look at the industry, it's a Western affair. Let's face it, you go to our hotels, you want to eat domoda, you cannot. You go to our hotels, you want to eat something Gambian, you can, even Kerr, Fatou, JRTS, you cannot tune them in any of the TV stations in any of the hotels. What kind of tourism are we doing? I was talking to someone, he said to me that when a tourist who landed in Gambia was staying at one of the local hotels, I'm not going to mention the name, he said, it's like an old people's home in Europe. It's like the only thing that's changed is the weather. What I get in Europe is basically what I get in a hotel in Gambia. That has, some people will see that as a positive comment, but it's not.
It's not.
It's not. The food, everything basically that goes into the tourism industry is benefiting others. We are just importing stuff. And this goes for most of the other departments or other ministries in Gambia. So until we start producing our own stuff and then start exporting, we are not making money. Instead, the little money we are making, we are spending on other people's.
But then linking it to agriculture, you people were once you were the one who cut the cake for the agriculture ministry from the national pie, and it does appear that what you apportion to them, it's a bit inadequate. I mean, a lot of people say it's inadequate.
It's definitely inadequate, by all measures. To be honest with you, look at it. It's basically like we are saying, I mean, as a country, we have to just sit back and ask ourselves this question. What do we want to do with our resources? We have the land, which is arable. We have the water, both salty and fresh. And what are we going to do? We have the youth which is a very significant resource in terms of, because all these youth going, they are actually depriving ourselves of our, resource that we need to actually use these natural resources. So on that note, there is a blame game going on between, the ministries, as far as finance and agriculture is concerned. Ministry of Finance has a generic template that they send every ministry on their budget circular to say fill in these gaps, what numbers you want there. But if that is not reflective of your programs and policies, it means you just have to see what program you can match to what figure and put it there. So come to the end of the day, the Ministry of Finance made it very clear that they gave a ceiling of 394 million to the Ministry of Agriculture, but the Ministry of Agriculture's submission was even less than that. Normally, they will exceed that by 30–40%, but for Ministry of Agriculture, their submission was even less than the ceiling, and they even had to give them more than they needed. They asked for, but does that actually mean that that's the true reflection of our need as far as agriculture is concerned? You have a farm in Salikenya. There's water. You know that if that all the finance is available, you will actually go there or go home. Exactly. So basically, and the Ministry of Agriculture, on the other hand, is saying, look, we make no programs suitable for the World Bank to give us $80 million. Don't you think we can make an equally good program for the Ministry of Finance to give us all the money we need? There is a communication gap between these two ministries. That's one thing that we have realized in the budget cycle, which needs addressing. So, yes, the question, to be honest with you, the Ministry of Agriculture can do with 5 times more than what we have given them, and they can absorb it. Do they have the capacity? Yes, they do have. We have veteran agriculturists in this country, agronomists, you name it, scientists in agriculture going back decades, who can just come in and input their talents and experience to revive agriculture in the Gambia over the course of a span of very few years. Yeah, you go to
So in short, what would you say In terms of, because budget is not just, it's not just a law, it's a political tool. It also speaks to the policy of a government. In terms of the allocation you people have made, how would you place the government's priorities? Where?
Misplaced, basically. I don't want to be political. I don't want to even touch on that area. But basically, what the government is showing us here is that agriculture is not one of their priorities.
So, Demba, you may have been part of. I'll come to you on some other policy matter. Demba, you may have been part of. I think Afrobarometer did also policies on employment. Do you? If you looked at some of the research data that were out, like say for instance the Multidimensional Poverty and Inclusive Growth Report by UNDP 2015. It highlighted that agriculture has come down a bit from employing 70% of population to 40% of the population, 30% decline in the past decade. And it also shows that that people in the rural communities are increasingly poorer. So, say for instance, a child in my village is 3 times likely to be poor than a child from here. That's a huge inequality gap. And if you look at the migration, it's rural communities that are largely affected.
In fact, if you connect that to migration, from our data again, it shows that it's the poor, uneducated people, or those who are recent graduates who are more likely to migrate. And when they migrate, they consider the back way more. Compare that to the highly educated and rich people who rather migrate for tourism purposes. So they move around for tourism. I am rich, like I have enough money, so I don't want to live in Gambia anymore. I want to go and settle in London. I buy a property, or go and I can afford to rent a property in London.
That's for maybe rich lawyers.
Yeah, but that's really, and that percentage is very, very low. Not just in Gambia, but across Africa. It's there, but it's very, very low. You compare that to the ordinary people, poor, unemployed people who are seeking greener paths, just that number goes, skyrockets. You understand? And you look at it inwards, you see the same. In the case of the Gambia, one of the fundamental reasons that you see why the reduction in agricultural employment level is also connected to another fundamental issue, climate change.
Yeah.
You understand? The farming season in 2017, in 2018, and in 2019, every year we see a decline. Sometime we're going to there's an emergency, a state of emergency, we're not going to get enough food. We knew this.
But can something be done about it? Can something be done about climate change?
It's what Honorable is saying.
If water is not available, you make it available.
So all of these issues are connected. It's about good governance. It's about finding the right policy, the right people, and the right amount of energy and desire to move things. In some cases, there is a mismatch. We might have a department of state or a government ministry, with all the desire to move things, but maybe they don't have the technical know-how, right? And maybe there's another, government ministry that they have the technical know-how, but they don't have the desire to move things. Yes, and so all of these things work together and play together, and eventually, if they sync, then we have, an opportunity to move on. But if everybody is pulling aside, and there's a huge communication gap within government, within the executive and between the executive and legislature, between the legislature and the judiciary, and all these other different arms of government, and especially also within or between state-owned enterprises. And if we are to move forward as a country, we are not going to have Mustafa pulling back and Demba pushing, and then we all have to push in the same direction. Look, you may disagree with me in terms of policy, but at the end of the day, your desire to see this country through should be as genuine as anybody else's. You understand? So we should not disagree on those principles. Yeah.
So, boss, from the discussion, it does seem like it's more or less clear that it's perhaps a policy failure, that we are where we are.
Certainly. No question about that. Even this question about whether the youth are interested in fishing or not. It's government's responsibility to engage with the youth to see what they want to do. It's not fishing alone, it's not other activities like carpentry and things like that. You merge your resources with the interests of people. And here we need everything. This is like a very new economic territory. We've not started anything yet. So I'm sure there are several things that youth can do, but like Honorable Jawara said, certainly, you can see that it's his area because he costed what it would take for one boat. Yeah, so I was just looking at it from the perspective of a small local boat. But really, safety and other things that he factored into it, good engines and all that.
Yeah.
You know, those are important things. And we should be able to exploit our waters for the benefit of our economy. You cannot, it's like we are importing fish. Because if the Senegalese go, we don't have fish. So that is like importation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's in your own waters,
yes,
in your
exactly.
backyard, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, and so if you create the necessary environment, I'm sure you will get people who will want to make that particular area their vocation.
Yeah, Demba, if you look at this whole policy debate about young people and what the government could do, and you look at the budget, you look at the state of the economy and the rising debt, basically by looking at this budget, we've spent our money on maintenance of government, payment of salaries mostly, and per diems and stuff, no real policy initiative. In fact, I think the biggest pro-youth policy in this country that's aiming at employing young people is YAP, isn't it? I mean, basically, that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, what actually YAP does is not necessarily employ people. It's sort of
help people create jobs.
Exactly, it's help people to become self-sufficient or become employable. You understand? And both of which are very, very, genuine approaches in terms of, what you would expect. But is it enough? Yes, there are a lot of criticism against the model. Honorable mentioned one of them, but the other also very common criticism is that you have actually picked up people who are already almost on the road to success and pick them and showcases them as their success
like the
stories.
chop shop.
Exactly. Why don't you group someone from zero? I'm not saying this is the truth about
because they want to tick their boxes with the dollars.
I'm not sure it's the truth, but these are criticism against but they
that's likely. That's what most people are saying.
Yeah, and they ought to be looked into, and in terms of serving the people or serving the young people of this country, it's important that you listen to different people.
But if you look at how the economy is being managed, you look at Gamtown, insolvent, NAWEC, insolvent, Social Security in problem. All the SOEs are in a problem. But also, the country in itself is also in a problem. It's spending what it does not have, which is, called deficit in their language. But it's basically spending what you don't have. That's a problem.
Basically, the problems at NAWEC are a reflection of the state of affairs at the national level, so to speak. Yeah. And Honorable mentioned the fact that the Minister of Youth, or the Minister of Finance, I'm not sure who, was explaining the fact that the part of the money they expect for the Ministry of Youth and Sports is the sports levy. I mean, the sports levy, where is it coming from? From the people. You're taking money from the people. And if you're taking money from the people, I mean, you're taking money from the public. And if there's no money in the public, again, the issue of the public debt is going to come back. The domestic debt is going to come back. Government competing with ordinary people. So essentially, it's like a cycle. The poverty is a cycle of poverty. We're not breaking
and also weakening the buying power within the economy if you're taking.
So you're not helping. You're rather, putting people into more poverty and their purchasing power is going down, and the prices of goods going to go up, and so on and so forth. So you're not helping the economy essentially.
For now, I think we've talked a lot about this young people and employment of young people. But for now, what must we do? Where must we begin? Do we continue blaming the young people who are already dying, or do we sit down and think what must we do?
First, I think what's very important is that government must, come up with a policy that is all-inclusive and a youth-centered policy. Why? Because this is a country where we have a majority of population of young people. You understand? So if you're moving young people out of poverty, if you're moving young people out of unemployment, you are essentially moving the country in the right direction. Right? That's one. The second step is in terms of dealing with unemployment, provide jobs, decent jobs that provide people with the opportunities that they need, that they will not seek elsewhere. But if you don't do that, people will continue to want to go. Because as we've identified, one of the key push factors is work. The second thing is about service. If I know, for instance, if I live in my village in Sierra, I'm going to get all the facilities that I get in Banjul. Why would I move from Sierra to come to Banjul? Why? What's the point? I'm more connected to Sierra because that's where I come from originally, everything socially, economically, and what, so why would I move? So it's the same mentality that we should start creating, in terms of, why people move out. And again, attract the right people that you need in your economy, right? You also need to think that as a government, we cannot do all of this at once. What do I prioritize and focus on that one step at a time? And let's not focus on how much money we're going to get from the EU, how much money we're going to get from the World Bank, how much IMF, whatever loans. Because we're not going to develop from that. Absolutely not. Until we start using our own state resources, right, in the right way that will produce the dividend that we need in terms of moving forward, we're not going to move anywhere.
Honorable, what would the National Assembly members do to
I'm
move us from this direction to a new one that's gonna be pro-youth?
I'm loving this guy, he's talking so much sense, it's like I just have to listen, First thing, like he said, we have to invest. Government have to invest. Invest.
Blaming young people won't solve it.
Well, what are you going to blame these youths for? What are you doing for the youths to blame them for? All these, like stigma, like the youths are lazy and this and that, that's all political. These youths are ready not to work if at all you can give them something attractive. That's the fact. I have employed so many youths because I make them partners. If any youth today in the Gambia going to be one of in my trucks taking fish to Basse is earning more than I earn, like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. Do you think that youth will sit there and watch? He will get up and work. But like he was saying, you cannot actually create employment prospects for youths and pay them peanuts and expect them not to waste their time. They spend more money going and coming from work than in fact make from the work. So first thing, you have to invest. We have a lot of raw materials from agriculture, fisheries, aquaculture, you name it. We need to add value to it. And between each of these, from the raw material to the finished good, there are a lot of processes involved in terms of I mentioned it earlier, in terms of the processing, in terms of the marketing, the sales, the distributions. These are all pockets of youths you're seeing. Let's say, for example, I give you an example. I bring fish I'm a youth bring fish from the river. I give it to you. You process it, give it to him. He distributes it to the hotel. But he's sitting in the office making the invoices. You see how many youths are involved?
There's a whole chain of young people involved. Yeah.
And that is to do with groundnut, cotton, you name it, anything that we grow in the Gambia. How many, I brought another investor to Gaipa lately, because the amount of stock that we think we have in the sea, is not there as far as fish is concerned. So we need to go into aquaculture. This kid came with a $3.5 million project. All the government needs to do is give him the other 30%, which is 1.5, to start a 30,000 ton aquaculture, fish farm. And that's going to create employment for youth across the whole country, both in the freshwater side and the salty water side. You see? So these are the kind of interventions, meaningful interventions that are good capital, that could actually engage the youths and create a lot of employment. So government needs to invest. Like he was saying, most of of all the $25 billion or $30 billion we want to spend now, you know how much we are spending on capital? Just $2.7 billion. You tell me, come next year, 2021, what will $2.7 billion do for us as far as investment?
The population is rising.
No, I'm talking about capital, development. I'm talking about development. All these other ways are going to pay personal emoluments. Recurrence.
So that's about, let's say, 20 billion plus, 21 billion plus is all going to
Just maintaining the status quo.
Yeah, just maintenance of the state. Yeah. Payment of
but as far as development is concerned, it's only 2.7 billion. What does that mean to Gambia and our population? You know, which 65% of us know are youths. You know, it means nothing.
This one may be a bit political, and I'm coming to Mr. Dabo, my brother. It's not, but it may be. It's just a lot of after the boat accident happened, a lot of people thought that the government's reaction, it's a bit indifferent. They could have perhaps the possibility of a lot more 50 plus have died, the possibility of 42 more missing who could be dead or who are actually presumed dead, could be Gambians, and that the death toll is too much. The government should declare a day of mourning, or at least the president visits these communities and console the population and speak to them about his plans to solve this problem. What do you think must we do by now?
Well, I can't agree more with that, because definitely this is a national tragedy. So if it happens, the president is the head of the nation. You know, just a press release is not enough. The president has to come out and tell us how he, first of all, sympathizes with the nation and the directly affected families. That is one thing. You know, reassure the country. That is what is needed in times like this. And he is at the center of national policy. So today what he needs to do is empathize with the direct families, with the nation, and of course to say what his government plans to do in this area, because this area is not going to go away. Migration will continue. Like Mr. Kandi said, managing it is the main issue, but to say, oh, don't go anywhere, stay here and all that, nobody is going to listen to that. Notwithstanding the tragedies that happened in the past and will happen in the future. As long as this type of migration continues, we cannot avoid that. But I don't think the government, the president, if for the symbolism only, should suspend his meetings. You know, he's with the people too. Declare a day of national mourning. I agree with that, definitely. It's still not late. Maybe they're thinking about doing something like that, and I hope they do.
Do you think it's also a wiser decision to go after the smuggling rings, like sort of people who smuggle people outside of the country? Or do we just say, oh, let's put this at a hold first and shift our focus to the push factors? Or do we go after the smuggling rings simultaneously and also start prosecuting people for smuggling people?
Well, I think the government needs to take a holistic approach to it. There are different factors responsible for this. So government would then, it has the biggest power in this area, the prosecuting power and all the things. So it has to investigate, understand properly what happened, and then move on from there. It has to investigate, and then probably something good can come out of this after all. But government has to be proactive, definitely.
Demba, I mean, initially at the beginning of the conversation, you've talked about the research report you people have put out and the fact that there was already an alert. I mean, the writings were on the wall. Do you think these are things we could have avoided?
Absolutely, I think so. And not just this, but a lot of other issues. When we put this out, if we're going at the barometer level, when we produce results, because these are representatives of national views, right? So we convene a stakeholder forum, like normally a day before we actually release the data to the public, right? So we invited different government stakeholders, and I can fully remember the Office of the President, the Ministry of Higher Education Research and Science and Technology, because they're very important. The Ministry of Interior, because we knew immigration is a major issue. They were also invited. A lot of other stakeholders, the international community, donors, and so on and so forth, UNDP and most of the UN agencies were also invited. to these meetings. And then we disclose all of this data. I mean, at the end of the day, well, someone can say that maybe they are not experts to understand some of this, but this was also written eventually in a language that everybody understands. They were shared with the media, and most of the data was put out there for everybody to see. Now, the other issue is, what as a people are we willing to do in terms of dealing with this kind of tragedies? What as a people are we putting in place in terms of stopping this? Certainly there are smugglers, but more importantly there are push factors. Because again, these smugglers, they're not going around and forcing people, like the typical smuggling business in other parts of the world. These are people who volunteer themselves. In fact, they pay. You understand, their money to go on this, sailors' journeys.
Some say 60,000.
Exactly. In fact, from the information we are getting, that this boat that actually capsized, it was so cheap. At some point, people were like, blow under. Yeah, unfortunately. And that's why we find that, even minors were part of this.
A number of children and women died.
Unfortunately. And even one death, one accidental death, is a loss to the country. Talk less of more than 50 lives. Well, this could have been engineers, this could have been scientists, this could have been anything, literally. The lawyers, policymakers, the president could have come from any one of those. And then could have invented something that would change the face of the entire world, not just the Gambia. But it's a life lost. So unfortunately, there is that need to think and move forward in terms of fixing our problems.
So I'm beginning to close the discussion of this, but there is some very important factor I think we should talk about. Do you think, in terms of the way government manages not just the difficulties within the economy, but also how policies are being curbed? Like, for instance, if you look at policy issues in this country, it's designed by some guy in the AC at the central government level, and then these are meant to effect changes in the lives of the people who are not even aware of what is being done. Like, must I be the one to say what I want, or must it be someone to impose on me what I want? For instance, you bring it pipe-borne water at our community, when in fact we had one. So something like that, like sort of people being authors of their own development.
For serious governors, for serious people in governance, you become proactive in terms of the policies and the implementation procedures that you make in terms of development at community level and at national level. But unfortunately, and this is something that is very specific to the borough administration, and we see that happen all the time, is that they are always reactive. We saw the floods in Kuntao. It was after the floods they rushed in, tried to make things, blah, 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 that went away. The Faraba incident, it's a national security issue. We waited until there was tragedy, we run in. It's reactive, it's like managing or firefighting issues. Why are we not able to sit down and analyze and say, okay, before this happened, I go and bring some intervention? Prevent. That's serious governance. So essentially, for the first 2 years, you could say, okay, this is a new government. Barrow has no political experience. In fact, he has no experience in public administration to a large extent. He's a private, businessman, successful or not, this is private. This is different. Now he's in government. So it's understandable. The first 3 months, first 6 months, people can be forgiven. But after 3 years, I think we run out.
They shouldn't be forgiven.
Well, 3 years is time that is.
So before I take the discussion to the issue of the draft constitution, because that's also very fundamental. It's one most important document of our republic. Before I take the discussion to that, I just want to pick up one more issue, because the point I was trying to reach with them is that if you look at our local governance infrastructure, like the municipalities, led by the 2 mayors, the local government institutions, they are under-resourced. And yet it's the central government that absorbs both the power and the resources. And must we begin to devise a new, since we've already concluded based on the data we have before us, that agriculture has gone down, rural poverty is increasing, everybody is leaving the rural communities, from Brikama right down to Nyomi, and they are coming. 60% of the country now lives in the urban area. I mean, since those factors are so grim, don't you think now we could probably devise other measures and make sure, perhaps, empower the grassroots government infrastructure such that, because they are the people who are directly in touch with the people, perhaps that way we may be able to kill this beast. Poverty.
I agree with you, 100%. Like you just said, there's a lot going on in Banjul that doesn't affect the rest of the country. There's a lot of emphasis in terms of input around this part of town, that's the Greater Banjul area, that doesn't reflect to what is actually happening now in the provinces. So the issue of decentralization is key. I'll give you an example. The new president of Ghana has made it a policy, a government policy, and they are very much, advanced, driving that, advancing that initiative, that there should be one factory, per district. So they look at what particular district, produces, whether it's cotton, whether it's rice, whether it's groundnuts, or whether it's cashew, and they make sure they have a factory there to mitigate even internal migration, let alone external migration. But not only that, I just want to know, when he was talking, I remember, I just had a forum about some 3 days ago, and where there's some very alarming and significant numbers struck me to the point I thought I should mention it. Do you know there's this SSR, the security sector reform process going on? You know how many Gambians know about it?
SSR.
Yes, the security.
Well, it's been talked about a lot.
There is a survey done by DCAF. Yeah. Less than 80, more than 80% of the Gambians don't know anything about the SSR.
Okay. So it's actually a term in Banjul.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
But Barrow knows about SSR. He knows all about it.
Well, he knows, and I know, and maybe we know, but the rest of the Gambians, they know what is that, And even in their own local towns, that there's a security reform. So going back to his point, what the government should do, is Barrow doesn't have to understand everything, but the guiding principles should be there of how what made him came into office. Is reform, 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 and reform. You go to, for example, the civil service reform, not in particular the security sector reform.
The beast, it's the one that's taking over 3 billion of
Do you know that only 4% of the troops have ever seen their act, the Armed Forces Act?
The Armed Forces Act?
Yes.
Only 4%?
Only 4% of the soldiers in the country now, I mean from here to Basay.
Have seen?
Seen physically, seen their act, let alone read it and understand it.
That's encouraging.
You see? And the same study revealed that over 70% of all the police, immigration, and army posts are within the Greater Banjul area. Basically about 7 kilometers apart, if you measure it. But come from Brikama going up, they are about 70 kilometers apart between police stations. I mean, that's average. You go to the north of CRR, that's basically just 2. The whole of CRR North.
So we are not as insecure as they want us to make us.
Exactly. You go to KMC and Banjul, there's almost every 7 kilometers. There's a police station. Yeah, about 1 police station to every 700 citizens. In the Greater Banjul area, but 1 police station to every 7,000 citizens in the provinces.
That's
striking numbers, So these are issues that will influence your decision of how these reforms are taking place. If, as we speak today, this was about less than a week, that this study is revealing that our soldiers don't even understand their mandate, then it will tell why the soldiers are acting in certain manners. They just think they have to obey to any instructions that come from the hierarchy, and that's it. They don't have to know disobey or do what they know, because the act is telling them different, but they don't understand it. They haven't even seen it, let alone the constitution of the country. You know?
And it's one thing to see, and it's another thing to read.
To understand, to read and understand.
Yes.
The checkpoints in the Police Act, the checkpoints are not there. But you know, how many checkpoints do you have now between here and Jarasoma? 22. And you go to the checkpoints, you see what is being said, or how they attend to you. It's definitely not out of line with their mandate. You know.
So
anyway.
I think we'll have to take a break here on the discussion. The host today sitting in for Lamin Cham is sick today. And with me today is Mr. Sana Jawara.
I'm not Mr. I am
Honorable Sana Jawara. Mr. Lamin J. Dabo, constitutional lawyer. And Mr. Demba Kande, a very smart researcher, a journalism lecturer actually, who is also a journalist anyway, and a blogger. Yeah. So we will take a short break, and when we come back, we will discuss the draft constitution and also a little bit about our case against Nema, the who are prosecuting, quote unquote, the Rohingya Muslims. And this case is at the International Court of Justice.
ñoo ak yéen rek skincare plus nara jàkkaarloo ak yéen waxtaan ak yéen tuuti rek si suñu tube suñu baax emuñ rek ci ay diw waaye comme ni ngeen ko xamee rek dañoo yëngu ci ay tube te yënguwuñ nag si just any tube suñ tube bu nekk 5-star jesna la 5-star jesna mooy jesna bi gën a pire moom la ñoo tube palmaan bi gën a fort moom la ñoo liggéeyee ñun rek si tube dara du doy day des not only dañoo tube but bu la neexee ñu tuubal la ba pare nag ñawal la. We're not all about skin. We are skin, care, and the plus does come in so many different ways.
No, ini bara. Alright, okay. Welcome. Basically, lot of lala me along is cool, man. That I can really relax.
What the madam?
Yeah, that's
what the madam?
Yeah.
Let them do somebody.
That's fine.
Grand Villa.
Grand Villa.
That's fine.
Slowly. Yes. No.
Yeah, actually, lot of people are basically me alone because they relax. So the two things that I can use very relaxed.
Ni la fa ni sewal ni dia nena Granville is the best guest house in the Gambia.
Mbeji andikam Grand Villa Guest House. Na labungol bebe senyaring adum na bungol bebe nyarandiring coming ibe la fila ila suwe taranyame. Until Grand Villa na kiliano la lafino wale mukangotin telkang. Na ye sabati Grand Villa yela kodo na fa kalamuta.
Oh man, this is like a paradise.
I know.
I so much love this place.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Trust me, I love this place.
You can move someone and you're watching what?
Yeah.
Katun jang and you want to Gambia kon. Grand Villa.
I tell
Yes,
you.
mga babo someone.
I love this place. Okay.
Yes, mga babo.
I love this place, man. Oh yeah.
Ni leftan na kuo keso sotola. Futama Oljuntum Paradise Estate. Mbaya kumandiroke 7527218. Wale futan na website auto www.grandvillaguesthouse.com. Grand Villa Guest House.
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.
Yaran yilla domoro kadiyata.
Boy, jannon Sikes restaurant.
Sa nakko be ninna dimbal. Nimba domoro kala janno.
Domoro seneyata adiyata topotoro fanan kendema bije. Luntan during tamala abeka domoro kijani. Adi manda wala de. Teka we bijele anim fanan ka fadi jang ikono e fa. E ka fa minne ko pastry anim bakery. Iko fanan bekalele. Badde lomba conference lomba workshop lomba ye fo fendin lo dunia kono domoro betama nyillom international otoda number 1
amanke ba domo la jandama
e sa domo jang is atariya
wo mu kubandi
sa nakko sa futandin
oto sa nakko be mu Sikes restaurant
ndafa na janna mu yat ni manje dorom bijam
aban
Sikes Restaurant, known for best quality food and customer satisfaction.
ba Europe Mr. Conte nka bolo kol kan sai na so ko na mano banta jabo banta tulo ban sai nka bolo kol kan anda ka ba office ko na ba dama bulo mutarin baka ta funtilano ni kon batu ngane ta ya kuriye ma ko dumanti na ta mano sani tulo ni jam
munda pete ni la buro da man balwo service kalam
mun service
balwo service
ni da foronte mo kalam
munda a fela buro da ko abitala internet ol aya ba site la woldo balwo.com na wo sajje a apu nga ba download la telephone ol na be sandiro to ni wal na be sidin ala office ko ndama manjar pour ay ta bank ko kodoki abe sidin office ko da daminto ito message so ya telephone ko no e bitiko be Gambia dawda bitiko ba bele ko ta tano dawda yeta tempo tawo wodama yala bari wa service na ta molda han mata nyo le kan fi janna bro dan ka ko ayo ko ti ta
balwo service dinkirala jampo o manken na kolaya ko balwo service al demano kaje ko ale domor feŋol sang alla dimbaya molu ana lakkanun tewol wato bela ani wat sudum fanan kono balwo service la dinkiralu ani la do kunyolu e be banko karo beto kabirin katon fo koyna nalla fa ko ku ko tan suro balwo service la kolto ali commandi telephone line no milbuko 9400213 7694319 wala 3192870 wala hankabi alta internet oto alila kolu jibe www.baluwo.com.
Do you live abroad and want to build your dream home in the Gambia without risking your funds and family ties? Do you want a household name that is trustworthy and efficient? A name that will continue to give you updates on the project from the beginning to the very end with videos and pictures? If your answer is yes, then worry no more. Boss Construction and Asset Management is here for you. If you live outside the Gambia and want to build your dream home, then this is ideal for you. Just reach out to Boss Construction and let's start building the dream home into a reality. With Boss Construction, the difference is clear. We give you value for money. Some of our services includes the following: construction management, building equipment rentals, rent management, purchase and leasing, asset management, and many more. For more information, please contact 282-4945. Better still, send us an email, bossgambia@gmail.com, or you can also visit our website on www.bossgambia.com. Boss Construction, a name you can trust. Boss Construction and Asset Management, keeping families together.